Key West, Florida, known for its tropical atmosphere, fishing, boating, diving, and a fluid, increasing tourist industry. Some of the original conchs fear that their history is slowly fading with new development. But scattered throughout the Keys, there are still a few natives who try to keep the memories alive. Which brings us to Saddle Bunch Key number 3, 14 miles north of Key West. Here you'll meet Andy Thurber, a local artist, and a native of Key West.
I'm Andy Thurber. I lived in Key West all my life, 45 years. I love the island life. As for my artwork, what I do as an artist, what I try to do is I'm painting my childhood memories, the very eccentric people I remember from growing up here. There were people like Cigarette Willie, Iguana Man, Cookie Lady, Cuban Rock Thrower, Meathead, people like that. Those were the fun and very eccentric characters I remember from being a child here. I work hard to get back and try to chronicle those individuals who I thought were very colorful back in those days, and even now I know they are, and that's mainly what my subject matter is those native portraits, or those people that I remember from my youth. They were the most fun, doing those things like that. Remember, we were kids growing up in Key West. Some of my funnest things to do was we would get on bicycles, and when we were hungry, we'd climb mango trees or Spanish lime trees or guava trees, and we'd get fruit and we'd eat it and have a good time getting around like that. And when we wanted to go swimming, we would go to Mallory Square, which was a wooden dock back then, and we'd swim off Mallory Square. Then we'd get back out and drive and ride our bicycles from one end of town to the other, and eat Cuban mixes at the sandwich shops, and we had a lot of good times growing up that way. It was a little simpler way of life back in those days. And those were different times at Key West when the shrimping industry was here, and the harbor was full of shrimp boats, and the seafood was the big industry for the island back in those days. Not quite so as much as it is the tourist industry perhaps nowadays. And there was a lot more Navy presence. We were real, we were real tolerant and real happy to have the Navy in Key West to support the economy, and those were the good times for me back there. Being a kid, we had a lot of fun. It was a real fun place to grow up. We played stickball behind St. Mary's Church, and the nuns would come out and chase us off, and people like Mango Lady would hear us on her roof gathering mangoes, and she'd come out and shoo us off with a broom. And she never called the cops, but she'd chew us off with a broom and chase us down, and nobody got arrested or anything back in those days. It was just good, harmless fun from growing up here on the island. We were all island boys and island kids, Key West boys, and we all got along real good with most of the other people that lived here. And that's still the same. It's just that there's not as many people, not as many of the locals here. Many have moved away. Growing up in Key West, I went to school at St. Mary's Elementary, which was on Simonton Street back in those days, and Mary Immaculate afterwards. But in those days, it was all nuns and priests that did the teaching. And I remember in particular one nun, Sister Jean Trainer, who had a definite affinity for me as a student and worked hard to bring me up through the ranks. And one of the characteristics about Sister Jean Trainer, she had these incisor canine teeth. And she kind of looked like a vampire to us all, and she was kind of a mean teacher, a very strict disciplinarian. Actually, they all were, but she was particularly so. And I can remember vividly, even till today, coming over the PA speaker, I'd be sitting in the cloud, in the classroom, and over the PA system, you'd hear, they would always tap a little pencil on the microphone and go, and you'd hear, Andy Thurber, please come to the office, please. And all my classmates would be going, you. And Sister Jean Trainer, when she would catch me playing in class, would come by, and what they would do is they'd take a big ruler, and they would smack you right on the wrist as hard as they could do. And I remember by the time I got out of eighth grade at St. Mary's, I had a callus about the size of an apple on the top of my hand for being spanked with a ruler by Sister Jean Trainer so much. One of the things we did, which probably wasn't a good thing back then, of course we were young Key West boys, and we first got our jobs as the altar boys, was we were always dying to sneak a taste of the wine, which was supposed to be the blood in the body of Christ during the Mass. So early one Sunday morning before the priest was there, one of the other altar boys and I snuck into the refrigerator and drank a little bit out of the jug, but we were disappointed to find out it was nothing more than Welch's grape juice. But that was one of the things we did. It probably wasn't a good thing, but one of the fun things we did as students growing up in elementary school.
For nearly a year now, Andy has been preparing for his third art show. While his primary medium is painting with watercolor on canvas or paper, he has recently been concentrating on this wood carving. It depicts a figure known well by locals and tourists alike, and it's also the centerpiece of his upcoming show.
This particular piece is an intaglio, or wood carving, bas relief wood carving. It's probably the last piece for this show, Cuban bread, and trying to get it done in a real short amount of time here. Difficult just because it's a physical medium where you're gouging away pieces of wood. It's nothing instantaneous like the watercolor work that I do, but it does have a real nice permanent quality. And good fun. It's almost like sculpture in a way, and it's fun to learn how to work with the grain of the wood. And anyway, it's a fun medium also. And the carving is a fellow named Toad, who was a bar owner of a Chi-Chi's bar. He died about 2 years ago. I think he was a hemophiliac, or he had a blood disease all his life, and he walked real funny because he had a lot of surgeries on his legs, and so he had difficulty. He was in a wheelchair as a young boy, and he walked around, and so his nickname was Toad because he walked around like he was hopping all the time. And anyway, he died a couple years ago, but he was a lot of fun, a real colorful character. Real true conch, real proud of it. Wore it right on his shirt sleeve, went around talking about how proud he was to be a conch, so that's why, kind of my tribute to him.
Andy's show will be held here at the Gallery on Green Street that is, in downtown Key West. Nance Frank is the owner and operator of the gallery, and she describes the theme and inspiration of Andy's upcoming show, Cuban Bread.
The name of the show is Cuban Bread, and of course Andy chose this theme because Andy's overall theme in life is the beautiful things and the important things in life are disappearing, and the last Cuban bread maker on the island, Faustino, is no longer going to be making Cuban bread at M&M's, for Little John's. No more cheese toast, no more Cuban sandwiches, no more medianoches. What are we going to do without Faustino?
No, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Well, what a great event we have here today. Andy, he's such a vital part of our community. One thing that I appreciate about him is that all of his art actually captures our history. One of my great concerns about being the mayor of the city of Key West is that we will lose our history if we're not careful. Andy has recorded our history. In each one of his paintings and his pictures and his wood carvings, he's captured somebody who has been in Key West and has served the populace of Key West, whether it be Cuban coffee or Cuban bread or just boat needs and products. Andy has captured that so that we'll never lose that little part of history, including the cookie lady, who, if she said the whole time that if we buy a cookie that both of us eat, she eats and we eat. So thank you, Andy, and we appreciate all that you've done for our community, and thank you for preserving our history.
His artwork is beautiful. I got a lot of his old stuff. It's like, Leonardo's scratch pad. I've got Andy Thurber's scratch pad from years ago, and I got a bunch of his stuff in my house. I love his work. It gets better and better every year. Now he's going into a new medium of carving, which is something I do. If I could talk about myself, I've had 3 shows myself.
Andy and I go back to first grade at St. Mary's School, and we went to school together until he left Key West. And this is one of the pictures he told me to be sure to look at because it would bring back memories from when we were kids, which it does. Especially this part here, no stickball. We always played stickball over there. We didn't care what the sign told us.
I know Andy because he bought my car. We traded it for a painting.
Actually, one of the better paintings, too.
Oh, yeah. It was a Coffee Butler painting. It was great.
Yeah.
I think the painting you have in your office of the little girl blowing the conch shell is amazing.
That one's different. That's a different style of Andy's, though. It's on brown paper, and it's a very gentle one. And actually, one of the folks that I know here is related to Andy, threatened to steal it from me, and so I don't allow him to come into my office anymore. But it's a lovely thing. And I think, you know, what I've enjoyed about Andy's stuff is it's real. And what I think people are buying when they're buying Andy's artwork is they're buying part of Key West history.
Oh, absolutely. When you look at an Andy painting, you can say, I know those people, or I've been to that store, or like this show, Cuban Bread. It's all the Cuban coffee shops, all the Cuban, you know, pastry shops. It's like all of us have eaten at those places and recognized some of the latest. Every picture has a story behind it.
Andy's show was a fabulous success. The mayor came, the press came, and everybody important in town came, especially the wealthy collectors came. Let's see, someone on the board of directors of the Democratic National Committee for the whole country came. Lots of art was bought, and the show was a tremendous success.
As an artist, the people that have influenced me as an artist, mainly I'm self-taught. In high school and in junior high, I spent a lot of times doodling. Was not a particularly good student, but spent all my time doodling, drawing in class. And there was a gal named Linda Fatora who taught art at night school. I started taking classes with her, and she especially noticed propensity for art in me and really motivated me to continue to take classes, in which I did. I took classes, workshops with Irma Quigley, Sanford Birdsey, Millard Wells, and Martha DePoo. Martha and I paint every Saturday morning together. And Martha's comes from is a second or third generation artist. Her mother was a very good artist, and she taught me one very good tip that I keep with me even till today, and that's that if you really are determined to be an artist, you will become an artist. I truly believe that, and she told me back then, and I still consider it to be valid today, is that if you can paint for 30 minutes each day, then that's how you will develop most effectively as an artist, and I think that's true. Even on your bad days, if you can come and put in your 30 minutes of sitting on top of that watercolor paper and trying a couple of techniques, or if you don't have it that night, wash your brushes, or clean up your paper, or just get in your studio and dwell there for 1/2 hour every night, that you'll develop as an artist. And that advice was like gold. And even till today, I do that. No matter what, I put in my 30 minutes in the gallery or in my studio every day to develop myself as an artist.
Many of the figures and images that Andy portrays can still be found in and around the island of Key West. But neither he or any other conch knows just how long they'll be there. Driven by his passion and talent, Andy works every day to create vivid memories of the colorful people and places of Key West. Important memories that will last long after the subjects are gone.
I still really enjoy living here, and I don't see myself being anywhere else other than being happy and painting the people that I remember.